Please, let's welcome Tim Howard, a certified virtual CISO and founder of 5 tech companies, including Fortify Experts, AI Cyber Advisors, and Fortified Desk. Tim's mission is to simplify cybersecurity by improving people's processes, people, and technologies, and he brings a practical, real-world approach to helping organizations strengthen their security posture. So let's give a warm welcome to Tim Howard.
Thank you. And hey, I appreciate y'all being here. I know there's so many different sessions that you can go to, so you just never know who's going to show up. So I appreciate you picking this one. And so we're going to have actually some fun with this. I'm actually going to also challenge some of your way of thinking on this, okay? In fact, what I'm going to ask you a couple of things. So one, because I'm going to kind of challenge the standard, some of you are probably going to have some either anxiety or a BS call, okay? And that's great. I actually want you to write down your questions because I'm going to try and run through this as fast as I can because I think at the end, the question and answer will probably be just as valuable as the content itself. And if you've got a laptop or an iPad or something like that, see if you can get connected because at the end of this, I'm going to see if you can blow up my server. So if you guys like to break things, we're going to have that opportunity to do this. And so, again, really appreciate you being here. I know we'll have a number of people coming in that are funneling in after lunch. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So our topic is beyond the CIA Triad. We will go into what that looks like, essentially focusing on how are we going to approach the upcoming quantum era, as we've all seen what IBM has done lately and several others, big technology firms are saying, hey, quantum is a lot closer than what you actually think it's going to be. And if we're not preparing today, we all know how slowly things move forward, that if it is 5 years from now, we better be preparing for it right now. Otherwise, we are going to get caught with our pants down. And so what we're going to be chatting about is essentially the attack surface. So most of you are going to know this. I'm going to run through it relatively quickly. So first off is endpoints. We all know that about 85% of the attacks come through endpoints. But with quantum and the fact that we're pushing more computing power out to the edge, I mean, you've got users that are probably saying, hey, I need an AI-powered laptop. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to be used against you. They're going to be able to weaponize your own devices against your systems. And so the more power we push out to the service edge, the way out there, the less power you have as a security person to control it. And so this is going to be a huge deal that we're going to have to address at some given point. The next one is ransomware. We all are familiar with it. The Verizon study for last year said that successful ransomware attacks went up 37%. This year I've seen numbers as much as 18% on top of that. So whatever we're doing ain't working. We got to take a different approach to ransomware because we are losing the war against it today. How much worse is it going to get when quantum computing power is going to come online? And why did that just... Oh, there we go. All right. So one of the things that they're doing today are threat actors around the world are essentially harvesting data because they know that quantum computing is going to come online, and at that point, they will be able to decrypt it. And so this is about collecting all kinds of data that you already have, and you think, man, I'm good, right? I'm encrypted. I don't have to worry about that. What if somebody's housing that data? And it may be 3, 4, 5 years. But at some given point, can they have the ability to decrypt it and use it against you? So these are the things that we've got to continue to look for. So today, This is not something in the future. I can take a 10-second video of you talking, and I can replicate you, and I can use it against your business. I can use it against your families. And think about the computing power in the future. How much worse is that going to get? Okay, so I can emulate, I can duplicate you, and right now, we can do a pretty good job of that. And that's going to continue to be a vector that's going to get massively worse. So public key encryption. How many of you are using TLS, SSL, to encrypt your email? Well, that's going to be all vulnerable. And so you think email is secure, but if somebody is up there harvesting your email today, at some given point in the future, they could use it against you. All right, so these are just additional threat actor or threat vectors, and then our digital currency. We are already there. We're becoming a cashless society, and if at some given point, quantum computing can essentially create vulnerabilities there. There are trillions and trillions of dollars at risk. And if it can be turned on to the currencies, there's very little that could collapse, or very little that would not collapse as a result. And so this is one of the reasons that we've been working together. I've got a group of leading CISOs that we've put together, and we've come up with a model that's a little bit different. You'll be familiar with the CIA Triad, okay? Most of you already know this. Confidentiality is all about keeping your data private. Integrity is keeping that data the same, or your applications the same, so they obviously can't be hacked. And then availability is you want to be able to access your data in your systems when you want to be able to access them, okay? Clear, all that. The challenge that I have, and I always have had with this is the what. It's not the how. Every single one of you leaders out there have a different plan on how you do this. There's a whole exhibit hall full of vendors telling you, I've got a new way, I've got a different way. And they're, so many different ways. It creates massive confusion. And we keep trying to plug holes that we find. And there's this continual drift that's going on. And the final thing that I got a challenge with is we're relying on people to make us secure. So, oh my gosh, somebody clicked on the wrong button. And they click on the wrong button, they get you in trouble. That means we didn't train enough. We got to train them more. We got to train them more. How about we build a system that doesn't matter anymore? And so that's the model that we've come up with. I call it the DEIA approach. And we'll go into each one of these, but distributed, ephemeral, immutable, and authenticated. And the reason that I like this are about fourfold. Actually, there's a number of benefits to this. Is that it's totally objective-based. You meet these 4 criteria, and you have just met CIA and a whole lot more. Okay? It is actually a prescriptive approach. If you go and you can create a distributed, ephemeral, immutable, and authenticated system, you don't worry about what people click on. You don't worry about what the hackers are going to do to you because it becomes completely self-healing. And it's not dependent on what a user does anymore. I don't have to train that. Yes, we can't fix stupid, okay? They can still take and enter their credentials in some other system, and we have to train on that, right? But I don't want to care about any click that they make, that if I can stop it at point of attack, then we don't have to worry about it anymore. And this goes well beyond just the CIA. You'll see what I mean as we walk through it. We're going to go through each one of these different components. Now, distributed, most of you probably think that you are distributed today. But you're I promise you, you're probably not distributed today unless maybe you're NASA and you're still working with 30-year-old technology, 60-year-old technology. So what you are today is likely decentralized, okay? You've got all these computers that are out in the wild, and it's far away from your core systems. It's outside of your firewall. And if you look at the orange, that's kind of your compute is very distributed. What we're talking about is more centralized. This is the old dumb terminal. And I know a bunch of you have probably used thin clients, which really were crappy. You've probably used some sort of VDI that you thought that you were getting to centralized management, but the reality is you still got to protect those endpoints, and slow and clunky, and what we have found is that everybody goes, there's no way we can go back to centralized management because the technology is just not there. And I can tell you the Department of Defense has been working on this for many, many years. They finally have it. It's something I will suggest you looking into at some point. And so, but it takes the service edge all the way back in. And so what I mean by distributed, what if I can now duplicate that compute? In fact, in a talk, I think Harvey is giving a talk on twin computing. And essentially that's housing one compute center and then another that is duplicated. So if one node goes down, I just flip a switch and turn the other node on. It sounds simple. It sounds like it's something we should be doing. And if you think about the big incident last year with CrowdStrike, hopefully I'm not going to offend our CrowdStrike folks, but when that happened, what if you didn't have all that compute way out in the distance? What if you just were able to flip a switch and go, oh, sorry, 5 minutes later, you have just now switched from Dallas to Miami, and your whole system is still back up and running. And so that's what we're talking about. It eliminates all single points of failure. Every single endpoint is a point of failure for you because it may be just an entry point for a threat actor to come in and really then impact everything else that you have. It eliminates data, all data on endpoints. If we're using the dumb terminal concept, I could care less about that endpoint. I could care less whether it gets stolen because there's nothing on the endpoint. And if we do this right, I'm using a $200 Chromebook. I'm not ever buying another Windows computer because I'm actually streaming my stuff out onto a dumb terminal. And so it enables you to have full control over your entire compute. Instead of having AI out at the edge, how about we bring it in so we can control it? We've got it containerized. Instead of saying, oh, Tommy, I'll buy you the $6,000 laptop and oh, sorry, it got used against me because it's been weaponized by somebody. And then it ultimately gives you full replication because we have now housed all of that compute inside our own firewall. And I can replicate that somewhere else. Okay, so hopefully that point lands. Let's look at immutability. So this sounds a lot of theory, but we'll show you what I actually mean by this. So when we've got a system, we're actually launching we have a golden image created. A user says, I want to use that image. That image could be an application. It could be an entire desktop. And if I hit it, what I'm doing is I'm basically taking that image and I'm loading it up into RAM. And then I'm actually bringing over my user persistence. So user persistence is housed in a separate metadata. I layer it over the top so my user actually thinks they have persistence, but the application is not persistent. And if I can do that, then I stream it out so that my user can see it, interact with it. In fact, it's just like your Netflix. If you stream your movies, You stream your music. You probably stream your games these days. Why aren't we streaming our desktops? You can, with a Netflix, you've got a remote control. You can type with your remote control. It's a pain in the butt, but you can actually type and interact. But can you get in and impact that movie? Can you corrupt that movie? Same concept. So the golden image is never touched except when the user calls it, and then it's loaded up. So what does that do? It eliminates unauthorized changes completely. It gives us the ability to use a golden image. It becomes a self-healing. So if something goes wrong, I hit a pop, and it reboots. And it's back to the golden image. It gives you the ability to instantly roll back. Again, I'll pick on CrowdStrike because it's just a good example we all know about. What if you were able to, hey, we just blue screened. Oh, how about we just reboot? And then it enables you then, if you were launching off of Chromebooks, I could actually have a lockdown device that almost opens up as a kiosk where nothing can be used on that device except your systems. They log into your systems. Whatever access you want to give them to whatever applications, you have a single port of entry. They cannot do anything else with that desktop. And then finally, it allows you to role-based desktops. How many of you are managing thousands of individual desktops, and you've got teams that are all managing all these? Okay, Sally just clicked on something that I gotta, now address, or there's a new threat that has just come out, so I gotta roll this out to 1,000 different desktops. This, you're managing one desktop. Or maybe it's 2 or 3. Maybe you've got an engineering desktop. Maybe you've got a sales desktop or an accounting desktop. You're only managing a few of these, and then you're essentially launching those applications to those that are authorized to use them. All right, so we're going to move on to ephemeral real quick. So ephemeral essentially is where we were before. But when the session ends, maybe it times out, or the user has left the building, or the user kills the session. What essentially it's doing is killing the solution in RAM. It's updating the user persistence, turns off the video. No hacker can live in it. So even if somebody followed you in, here's a good example. You just bought the 75-inch screen that you have always wanted. And you've got that thing propped up. It's actually on your back patio so you can watch the football game coming in. And your neighbor sees that, and he comes over and plops his chair down right next to you because he wants to watch the big screen too. So he watches it. You turn the TV off. Your neighbor, all right, he goes back home. That next day is NFL Sunday. He doesn't have the ticket, so he wants to come watch again. He brings his chair over. He sits down, and he realizes you're not even home. You're not there. In fact, your house actually moved to a whole nother subdivision. He can't find you anymore. And that's what we talk about session-based. It's not just about turning it off. It's about every single day you're in a different location. They have to find you every single day. And when you turn it off, they cannot do anything with that image or the application anymore. And so it creates a moving target. It removes all the application persistence. Remember, we're layering user persistence so they think they have a persistent profile. It creates completely disposable sessions. You can put session limits in here. So for instance, in a high security area, you might say, hey, I am literally going to kind of reboot their system. Say they're going to go to lunch. I might only give them 4 hours a day. And then they're going to go to lunch. They're going to come into a brand new session if they wanted to. Or end of the day, I can shut everybody down because I know they're all going home at 5 o'clock. And then instant patching. Think about if vulnerability just comes out today. It's massive. It is nasty. I can go in. I can update my golden images, reboot, hit it up. In about 30 seconds, depending on your server speed, you can literally push that out to everybody instantly. And it does actually, it's usually connected to a CD pipeline, so every single night it's giving you a brand new, updated images. So, all right, we're going to move on to the authenticated. So authenticated today, you are battling the entire world. In most cases, you've got China, you got Russia, you got North Korea that all want into your systems because they want to monetize your systems, right? If they can lock you out and get you to pay something to open that door back up, how about we take them completely out of the equation? So if I can centralize and authenticate down to either the device or the person or the location, I've just taken most of the world out of the equation. And how do we do that? One, you should probably already be using some geofencing, right? Okay, let's just say your user base is in Houston, Texas. Maybe they travel to Dallas or whatever. You could at least take all of the other countries out of play. That's a pretty easy one that you guys should, and there's plenty of technologies that are doing some geofencing and analytics around that piece. But we're going to kind of go, each step gets a little bit tighter. The next one is passwordless. You guys are probably already looking at technologies. If you're not doing that, this is something that if we can get to a digital MFA type, that's a good first step. You know, authenticator on our system, that's a great next step. But here's where I think we're going to have to go, especially in the quantum world. It's getting to what I call physical MFA. And that's not just your biometrics. Like I can go and I can do biometrics to get into my desktop or my phone, but it's actually something you have, like a card key or a UB key or something that you're keeping on yourself. Most of you are at bigger companies. You probably already have some sort of badge in. How about you have the ability to badge in to your desktop? Because that takes the rest of the world out of the equation. You no longer have to worry about somebody. Digital MFA, you know, can be breached. There's so many stories of that out there. That we are going to have to start using something physical on our bodies in order to be able to secure our stuff. You may not think that's today. It's not far in the future. I can tell you the DoD right now is pushing all of this out because they realize this is the wave of the future. In fact, they'll have your biometrics on CAT cards. If any of you know what a CAT card is, they'll have your fingerprint, your biometrics embedded in the cards so that when you tap in, you now are validated biometrically as well as on the card, they match up, okay? And then one step further, that would be getting into, say, your SSO. But what if you're in and you've got email in your desktop and you open up something where a threat actor can come in? So what we're doing now is looking at how do you go to the next level down? So not just validating in and authenticating into the desktop, but to every single workload that you have, I got to reuse my card. And it may sound bad, and it may sound like, oh, God, you're going to layer. But the reality is if you do it correctly and you've already got the badge on you, I've got a NFC ring that I use. For some reason, I think I lost it. So if you find a ring, it's probably mine. Where I can literally just use my ring as a badge in. It is a physical token that goes along with my biometrics in order to get in. So essentially that's most of what I wanted to cover. I know yeah, perfect. Okay. So I'm going to end up just telling you a few of the highlights of this, and then we're going to do an exercise together. So if you follow this model, it removes the user and the endpoint vulnerabilities. I'll let that set for a minute, because that's a big deal. If we can remove the user vulnerabilities and the endpoint vulnerabilities, how much are you spending right now in that space? How many of these vendors are telling you they need to buy their systems? If you get this right, half of that haul disappears because we don't need them. Hopefully they're not in here. Okay, data exfiltration. By using this right, you can prevent all data exfiltration. This is what the Department of Defense is doing. You can even watermark your screen to prevent screen scraping. There are the ability where you can enable all data to never leave your desktop and go to the device. The next one is essentially because we can instantly reboot, ransomware attacks are gone. All right. Self-healing, it enables complete resiliency, and it sounds like this is a lot, and it's a big lift, and holy cow, how much is this going to cost? I will tell you, because it actually eliminates so many other vendors, we're finding that this methodology will reduce IT cost at least 30%. At least 30%. I've got one guy that's been using it for about 3 years. Interviewed him, had a chat with him again last Friday. He said that 3 years ago, they had an IT budget. They've implemented it. They're now at 50% of where their IT budget was before. So in fact, they're running 4,000 devices. He's got an IT team of about 4 people. Because it just simplifies things. Okay, so we're going to go into a little exercise. I'm a little nervous about this because if you've got your desktop or your laptop or your phone, I'm going to have you actually bring up what we call a DEI workspace. Okay, I'm hoping this will work. My guess is we're going to blow up my server. I've been able to do 5, maybe 6 concurrent users, so we've got a good, 50, 60 people in here. I want to see how far this goes. So the first one I'm going to give you, if you got a laptop, you'll go to chrome.fortifieddesk.com and pull that up. You can also pull this up on your phone. This is an immutable Chrome session, and you're welcome. It'll be a little more difficult on the phone because it is obviously a very small form factor. You're welcome to open up any malware. Yeah, in fact, I often go to URL house, and I'll go and open up all kinds of links trying to corrupt it. Would you do that in your systems? Would you go and purposely open up links that you know have malware on them? That's the difference in this area. And if that loads up, will you raise your hand that if you got a full Chrome session that is open now? I've got a few. Can you keep those hands up? Okay, how many more of you? I want a lot more of you. Let's try and break this thing, okay? I'm serious. I want to get like 50 people on it. As many as possible, because the next one, I'm pretty sure this one will work. The next one, I'm not sure it's going to work. So get ready. Okay, so that is, consider that like an ATM. You can surf any site, and it is completely secure. It cannot corrupt your systems, and it cannot corrupt your device. It is a true isolation instance, okay? All right, last show of hands. Beautiful, okay. All right, we're about to go next. Now, what I want you to do is you're going to see on your little screen, you're going to see a little gray square. Will you click that gray square? That's going to be on the left-hand side. If you click that gray square, it's going to open up our DLP panel. And I want you to scroll down to the bottom, and it'll say delete session. If we delete that session, we're going to have a lot better chance of success on the next one, okay? You can come back to this as often as you want. In fact, if you're surfing around or going around this and you don't trust the Wi-Fi, just open this up again. You're welcome to surf and use that as often as you like. So if you will delete that session, I'm going to give you another one. It is going to be an immutable Windows desktop on your device, a streaming desktop. If you will click that, I want to see how many people can open this up because, again, I've only done 5 people. And if I would love to see 40 or 50 people, and if it opens, it's going to take a little bit. It's literally building a Windows image on your phone. There is nothing that's actually touching your phone. It is completely independent of your phone. So this is not a hack, I promise. It will not exist after we get done here. You'll have 5 minutes to play with this thing. Will you raise your hand if the Windows desktop has fully opened up? I've got 1. We got it open? I've got several. Got another one. Try and reload. Let's see how many we can get. We should be able to get a few more of those. And you will be able to come back to this. I fully expect, because we've also had a bunch of Chrome sessions open. I've got another one over here. We should be able to get, probably 20 or so on here before we so-called blow it up. But it is something I want you to try out later when the 5 minutes expires. How many we got opened up so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, yes, we're getting there. We're at 12. Yes, I'm loving it. So what we basically launched, I've got a very small server. It's a 10-core, 64 gigs of RAM. And we're launching, we've got 12, 14 of these desktops we've just launched in a completely immutable session. And so, I got one more. Hit your DLP session. The tab, the little gray tab, go ahead and delete that one. This one's not as critical, but you're going to want to do this one, especially if you have gray hair or no hair. Sorry. You're probably not even old enough to know this one. Who likes the game Doom? Hit that one. You will be able to play Doom on your phone. It's going to be a little tough on a phone, but you're going to launch Doom on Windows 95. Windows 95 Doom, you're going to be launching that. And if you don't have a device, take these notes down. If you want to load that onto your laptop later and actually play Doom, you can do that right now. Got one. Oh, yep. All right, we're there. Perfect. Okay. How many have Doom up and running? I see a couple. Raise your hand if you've got Doom up and running now. Is anybody getting it up? Have we blown it up completely? We may have. Yeah, we may have, because all this, again, this is a tiny little server, and we're running through Chrome and Windows and all. What I will encourage you to do, take a picture of that, or just type that in. As soon as this session finishes, you'll be able to get in and crank that up. It is actually really stinking cool. Okay, so that's really what my talk is about. If this highlights anything for you where you want to learn more, please schedule something with me. We can go into a lot more depth on how it's done. It's incredibly easy. You will, in fact, most of you won't believe how freaking easy this is to be able to go to a DEIA foundation, put a bubble right over your existing infrastructure. You don't have to do this in the cloud. In fact, the Department of Defense developed this technology specifically for STIGs, completely offline. But you can take it into the cloud as well and do it completely remote. So I want to open up questions that I hope this created some thoughts for you. What questions do you have? And I think you've got an extra mic, right? Question? Chasm is at the core. Yes. Chasm is absolutely at the core. That is the technology that is under the covers that enables all that. What Fortified Desk is, it's protecting the server and the email and the data as well. Yeah. Yeah. Love it. What other questions? Come on. Somebody's got to have a doubt. Did somebody think they were offended by when I said, hey, CIA might be a little outdated, that we might need to take a different approach? Thoughts? Come on. I know somebody else has a question out there. How can this be done? Yes?
The user persistence, what does that actually look like on the server side? Cookies or?
So you're actually housing it in a separate metadata file. And then when you launch that image, you're basically just layering it over. So for instance, when I open up my desktop, all of my Chrome settings are going to be there. My user settings will be there. My OneDrive is going to be connected. I'm going to have all my Microsoft tools connected. And so everything lays in the base image, but when you launch it, it looks like it's right where you were before. Now, you might have to open your Chrome session, but all your tabs are going to be there too. So it essentially houses where you were before, but it spins up a fresh application. So great question. Somebody give me another one. Someone challenge me. Come on, you guys think independently and challenge me. Don't just sit there and go, oh, okay. Say it.
Non-repudiation, validation of user access on SaaS and connected systems, which was technically to be expanded on the CIA originally.
Yes. Right. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can validate and authenticate into it. And that's what I love about this technology is that it doesn't push you to change the way the things that you're doing today. It maps into how you're doing things today and basically just layers over it. Thoughts? Questions? Donations? I'll take any of them. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Trying to think about, thank you. I'm trying to mentally map this in my head, but some of the examples that you used tend to lead towards in-person environments. How practical is this for fully remote company?
So this enables you remote access to virtually any technology. So honestly, that's where we're pushing it the most is, yes, you can drop it in on your existing infrastructure. You can actually connect it to your cloud at the same time and give secure access to all of that at the same time. And so it is not, it's not dependent on your infrastructure. It enables you to get access to all of your infrastructure remotely. In fact, I've got one client that is literally space manufacturing, and so they're launching rockets. They had an auditor that said, hey, I need to get access to your mission control. And they're like, we're air-gapped. Can't get access to it. Found our technology in 3 hours. They gave them access to a view-only capability. And so this technology not just works for your IT space, but we've got some guys here that are showing it off in the OT space. If you can get to an IP address, I can give you secure remote access to all of it. And I can operate IT and OT on the same system. And I know a bunch of you just went, because I'm not operating it on my system. All I'm doing is looking at the different servers and streaming it out to where I can see it. There's nothing on my system that's operating at all. Yes, sir.
Customer you were talking about earlier. Talk about the complexity of the enterprise. Talk about
How often does their enterprise change the way they do business? How complex are their operations? How well mapped was their operations? How well do they understand their actual IT operations? How are they able to go in and do all the daily changes, dev, QA, prod, blah, blah, blah? I mean, because basically in your presentation, you went through 20 legacy technologies that have each had their own problems in the enterprise.
Yes.
So how have you solved all those problems, especially in a dynamic enterprise that has more than just, say, we make widget A, and we've been making widget A for 30 years. So that's what I want to know.
Love the question, because honestly, for the legacy, this is even more important, because most of your legacy is not secure today. And if we can put a bubble of security around it, and I will tell you, we're using Docker, Kubernetes, some VNC. We're using a whole host of different technologies. Obviously, Chasm is part of that orchestrates that. But the reality is, what we're doing is we're layering it down to where essentially we're taking, say, a Windows NT box or a Windows 95 or some of these that are so old that you really can't secure them. But what I can do is I can hide it under the bubble and have secure access in. And I can do that, say, with your Azure cloud access. I can now hide your Azure cloud access inside the bubble so that you can prevent anybody from getting into it. Or your SAP or any of these old legacy systems, what if you can literally put a bubble right over the top of it to prevent any outside egress except for the authenticated card key access if you wanted to go that far. YubiKey access. I mean, we literally can do it not just to the desktop, but to every single one of your workspaces. Depends on how far you want to go. And that, we're thinking about today, but what's the future look like? How much worse is this going to get? And if we're not preparing today, we're going to be way behind. What does that make you think about? Did I stun or shock you? I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and give you off a little extra 5 minutes. I will be down here if you want to just have a private conversation. I will tell you, I think, if anything, I win the coolest card award. If you haven't seen one of these, it's a little computer, and you're welcome to take one of those. You can't copy it. I've got it copyrighted. I'm just kidding. Okay, anyway, thank y'all so much. I really appreciate y'all's time and attention.